All right, welcome back everyone. Dr. Ben, not a real doctor here. Today, let's talk about wrists. Well, more specifically, my clunky left wrist. This is something that's been an issue for me since, well, I can remember it being a problem at the beginning of high school, so well over 20 years now. Now, I have mostly just worked around or worked through this, but the problem is now I can feel hard parts touching hard parts. There's bone bumping into bone here, which means I've lost enough space in the joint capsule that I've lost a significant amount of extension in my wrist. So it's time to take a look at this, quit putting it off, throw it off to the distance, and really look into what's going on in my wrist and rehab. Well, it's probably going to be my wrist and shoulder, actually. Now, here's the thing about the wrist. It is a really complicated joint. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of little bones, there's a lot of muscles, there's a lot of connective tissue. There's a lot that can get muddled up. I mean, I love that word. Do you love that word? Do you love muddled? Let me know in the comments down below. But there's a lot that can get muddled up and things start doing things they're not supposed to. It's a complex area. And to further complicate things, because of connective tissue and muscles that run along the same connective tissue, issues in your shoulder can create problems in your wrist. If you're lacking mobility in your shoulder because of all the rotation that goes on in the hand, in the elbow, and up through the shoulder, that can all come together to look like a wrist problem that's actually a shoulder problem. So I'm going to share a few of the things that I'm going through here to really help release everything from like my neck down into my hand and regain the normal function in my wrist so that I can go enjoy crawling again. Step one, we're going to look at shoulders. And a lot of this is going to be done from a hand-knee position just because it is a good position to monitor how much pressure you're putting on your wrists and hands and how much extension you're going to use to get this right. So we're going to come to hand-knee position. And for me, once I start getting past this amount of extension, I can feel things starting to hit. Now, I've done a fair amount of work on this, so it has improved. It was about there about 3 or 4 days ago. But so for starters, get into your hand-knee position and you again shift your weight forward or backward as extension will allow. Now, something that's really going to help you for all of this, try and spread your fingers as much as possible so you can, while you're doing this, stretch out the muscles in your hand, because if those muscles are tight, it's going to constrict the wrist also. So get a little bonus stretch in the hand muscles and make more room in your wrist. Now, you want to find a set position. If your shoulder is really shrugged up, you want to make sure it's in a nice neutral position. And all we're going to do is maintain that neutral position and rotate the shoulder. All right, the shoulder is going to move out of the neutral position, but you want to try and keep from shrugging up and focus on just rotating the shoulder joint itself. And you want to do this slowly so that you can feel if there are sticky spots, if there are places where your wrist is or your shoulder is hanging up. All right, and then you can also move into some protraction and retraction. Just let your shoulder drop down and then let your shoulder push forward. And try and isolate the shoulder joint. You'll notice that you may be rocking forward and backward, putting more pressure on your wrist. Just pay attention. If it hurts in your wrist, adjust your position to take some of that pressure off. You can shift your weight back towards your knees to put more weight on your knees, take weight off your hands, which will relieve the pressure on your wrist. All right, so if you have constrictions in your shoulder, this will help work that musculature and get it to release a little bit. I do have an issue in my left shoulder that I am rehabbing right now as well, so definitely contributing to this wrist issue. But you can just spend some time here. Don't be afraid to play with this 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes and see how your shoulder feels. But that's working through the shoulder. All right, now you have a fair bit of play in your elbow, so lots of muscles help to rotate the wrist that run through the elbow. So you're going to get into that nice neutral position, and you're going to just keep your shoulder in the neutral position, and you're going to turn your elbow. So So you can see if you watch this the front of my elbow, you'll see I'm changing the direction that points. And that's gonna help work all that muscle that not only rotates the shoulder, but rotates the elbow and rotates the wrist as well. If this is sticky, if you don't have the ability to rotate through the elbow well, then your wrist is gonna be in inefficient positions and have to work around being out of position for where it needs to flex or extend. So go slowly, and again, you're feeling for sticky spots, and you wanna try and move and make this movement smooth. If it's clunky through a section, slow down more there so you can get better control of the muscles. The slower you go, the better your brain, your neurology, is gonna get control of that range of motion. And just like before, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, this is low intensity stuff. Just go through the motion and let your neurology feel the movement. And try and isolate the movement to your elbow. You don't want a whole bunch of movement everywhere else. All right, now next we're gonna do a little work on the wrist. So I'm trying to gain more extension in my wrist. So I'm gonna spread my hand a whole bunch. So get those fingers as far apart as you can, and then I'm actually gonna squeeze the ground with my fingers to engage the muscles in my hand. This is gonna do a few things like help support the wrist and also engage those hand muscles and work them at the furthest range of motion so that I can build up some strength and extra mobility in my hand. And then all I'm gonna do is, while I'm squeezing the ground, is I'm gonna rock forward just a little bit and back and forth like this to try and get that musculature to release a little bit, get a little bit of extra play in the wrist. Now, if you are experiencing pain when your wrist gets too far into extension, you don't want to go that far. You don't want to move into pain. You want to stop before it hurts. There's several reasons. One, because pain is an indicator that something's wrong, but you also don't want your nervous system to register pain in a range of motion, because then it's going to think that's an unsafe position. We're going to be slowly reprogramming the neurology by moving more into ranges of motion that don't hurt and letting the nervous system relax so that it will release, be more relaxed, and allow you more range of motion. And you're just going to go back and forth like this. If you need to, take a break, shake out your hand. Again, low intensity stuff, we're working on mobility here. And you can combine this a little bit with the elbow rotation, get into a new position, rotate your elbow, see how it feels. Add a little more extension, rotate your elbow, see how it feels. And you may find that there is a particular area where things just aren't cooperating, they're not working the way they should, everything's real sticky. But if you back off, it's fine. Move into that sticky area and spend some time there playing with all of the different variables we've gone over and see if you can get that movement to smooth out. That's your nervous system saying, I don't know how to work here, I'm not comfortable working here. So if you spend some time doing a little low intensity movement, your nervous system will figure it out, and then that movement will be more relaxed next time. So this is different than stretching. This is working with your nervous system rather than just trying to hold a position until a muscle releases. And you'll find doing this fairly regularly, if you're having issues with this, doing this a little bit every day will make a big difference in, a week, 2 weeks. Because once your nervous system understands that it's okay to move in this position, it won't give you such trouble next time. But there's a little bit of shoulder, elbow, wrist work that I've been doing to get this whole complex to release and regain all that extension that I've been putting off getting back. Remember, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So if you start feeling this stuff coming on, work on it early. Don't be a knucklehead like me and just keep pushing it off and say, I'll deal with it later. If you get it when it's really early, this, like I said, has been a problem for over 20 years now. It's going to take a lot longer to rehab than if I was like, oh, my wrist feels a little sticky. Maybe I should do some work on that. Get in, take care of your body, prevent it from becoming a problem, and then you won't have major injuries. You'll just have short rehab sessions that you have to do every now and again. I hope that helps you get extension back into your wrist so that you can do things like crawling and handstands and all the fun stuff we love to do. If you liked the video, smash that thumbs up. If you know somebody who can benefit from it, share the video with your friends. If you haven't already subscribed, please consider subscribing. And until next time, keep your life in motion.